सबको namaste. Everyone here on the dais, dignitaries, students, and everyone here. I experience, and honestly, a great sense of pleasure, privilege, and joy unspeakable in being able to address all of you. Such a wonderful August gathering, and people from industry, different diverse sectors of industry. I must also compliment the gym management, directors and his team for choosing a particular topic which is so relevant, so contemporary, and proposes the kind of a roadmap that this country must build up in the next 4 or 5 years when we're really hitting 2030. And I think that's the topic that today you have, building up competitive, sustainable enterprises by 2030. You see, time and again, our country and the leadership in the country has been talking in terms of reaching as the third largest economy of the world. Rightly so, I think we are justifiably on that path. With the fastest growing economy in the world, you must have also read the newspaper today, something about 7.8% growth, which is probably the highest growth in GDP across all countries. So if we maintain this, sustain this particular, there's no reason why we won't not become the third one very shortly. But hitting the second and first may take us many years, because the gap between India and China, India and US is huge. But nevertheless, we are the third largest. It's a great credit. But to be able to reach that and to sustain that, we'll have to do a lot of things. And this is probably the topic of the discussion during the course of the day, where students, thought leaders, people from different branches, different diverse sectors, will share their thoughts about it, their impressions, and how are we going to make this journey effective and useful. You see, to start with, my only suggestion to all of you is that, and especially the people who are going to be managing the entire show, is that conferences of this kind are extremely relevant, very useful, but they should not be reduced to just a cosmetic gathering of people networking and talking to each other and going back home satisfied. But it should be, the deliberation should be moderated effectively, documented, and the implementation process should be seen through. So if you are kind of make certain observation, or you heard somebody speak something and you believe it to be true, then I think it's important for us to make sure that we actually are able to implement this on the ground. And this is where we fault. In our country, this is where we are not able to take it to a logical conclusion. And that's something which is extremely important. So at the end result, whatever we are spending a day and we're spending huge amount of preparation, at the end of it all, it must result in something very, very concrete, something very positive. And any small contribution that you make in that process will add to the overall goal that we are talking about, 2030. You see, 2030 is not a calendar milestone. It is not a figure in the Gregorian calendar, 2030. But it's in the context of our country, it's a strategic horizon for positioning the economic position, the economic progress of the country in the global landscape. This is very important. We have to understand this. We're not talking about numbers and years, and we're actually talking about that this is where we must position ourselves. So that's a journey that we must take positively. So it's a strategic decision that we need to take, and that's a strategic landscape that we need to look at. Now, having said that, what are the kind of different measures, different steps that we need to take in this regard? I will speak very briefly about the conclusions that were arrived at recently concluded AI Summit, which most of you must have followed, where the theme was, there were two interesting statements, Sarvajan Sukhai, Sarvajan Hitai. There's an age-old kind of the benefit for all, and happiness for all. Sarvajan Sukhai, Sarvajan Hitai. That's the kind of motto that we had chosen. And also, very interestingly, they also talked in terms of 3 Ps, if you can recall: people, planet, progress. Now, youngsters particularly, all of you need to make sure that this is the sequentially, this is how it should be. People first, then planet, and then progress. It cannot be make progress and forget about planet, forget about people. It cannot happen. It can't be reversed in that. So this is something you need to remember. And I think it's a very profound kind of a sequential assessment this particular summit made. Now, I will not go into the details of the 3 different topics subtopics that you've chosen. That's something for the experts to. I'll just try and emphasize upon what are the 3 major major intervention that we need to make sure that whatever journey that we are able to move forward is without any major issues, without any obstacles. And if there are obstacles, we have the right requisite expertise to tide over that. There would be challenges, but there's both challenges as well as opportunity to be able to make sure that we have reached that particular position without major hiccups. I think the first thing which is extremely important is that as a manufacturing hub, we talked about manufacturing and becoming competitive, sustainable. We have to be constantly on our feet to keep on innovating. You see that in every product that you see across, whether it's in electronics or FMCG or electronic goods, medical equipments, has to be constant upgradation, technological upgradation, and technological innovation. You see, the product design is going to be the most important dominant factor, making it user-friendly, making it cost-effective, and of course, making it affordable. So, product design, which really means it must precede by a great sense of innovation. My only concern in this regard is that the rate at which we are moving forward, depending very heavily upon technology and AI and all this, we're losing our creative juices. Somewhere down the line, we have somehow our critical analysis, our creativity, because there's too much time being spent on that. But that's another subject. I will not go in detail to that. All of you all know how much screen time you have to spend and what kind of damage it causes to your neural pathways. That all of us, a lot of research is happening, so I'm not getting into that. So innovation, constant innovation is the key to it. The second aspect which you must remember very clear, and I think one of the words appears in your topic, is sustainability. Sustainability is a much wider connotation, both in terms of the earth, planet, ecological destruction, etc. मेरा तो सिंपल एक स्टेटमेंट है कि अगर ये धरती नहीं रहेगी तो आप रहेंगे तो क्या फ़ायदा? What's the use? If this earth doesn't survive and earth is not able to provide you the basic benefits, तो फिर आपके ज़िंदा रहने का क्या मतलब? So therefore, it's important time that we woke up right now before irreversible damage. Already a lot of damage has been done. We really have screwed up the entire the ecological system. But before it becomes completely irreversible, unmanageable, let's wake up. So all your manufacturing activities, whether it's in industry or in agriculture or technology, must be based upon responsible criteria, responsible interventions. So the 2 elements which are important for sustainability is responsible production. Am I using the right kind of environmental friendly methods to do the production? And secondly, responsible consumption. So the sustainability concept you can define in the entire envelope will contain responsible production and responsible consumption. We waste more than what we actually consume. And some of the developed countries which are headed by people like Trump, are notorious for consuming more than what they actually need. The amount of wastage that you can see. A typical American, if you could see his plate in a restaurant, you'll find that he piles in much more than what he actually needs. And now they raise that holier than thou kind of an attitude. But so therefore, responsible production. And every element that you use, every element that you use in a manufacturing activity, here in land, in agriculture, industry, solar, whatever, must fit into the criteria. So therefore, the sustainability is not a matter of only a compliance, not a matter of compliance. It should actually be embedded into the entire process. It's very fundamental. I think people like me, who sort of might live for a few more years, but it's okay. But for you, the bird, you really have to make sure that youngsters who are going to live another about 40, 50, 60 years, maybe longer, you're going to be faced with this challenge. So I think you must keep on telling everyone, yourself and parents and everyone, that please, whatever you're doing, make sure that it's sustainable practices. And third one, of course, is a digital intelligence. I mean, it goes without saying that this is something which we can't wish it away. But having said that, digital intelligence must be based fundamentally. It's become a foundational methodology for us to do a lot of production activities, manufacturing activities within technology or otherwise. But how do we use this particular digital intelligence? How do we use the word AI? AI is, I think if you look at the newspaper, it's probably mentioned about 1,000 times. You'll find AI is scattered all over. But what is this wretched thing called AI? And interestingly, what has happened is, and all of you must know that, AI is fundamentally a concept of the past. AI operates on the basis of something which has already happened. It talks about data, isn't it? The data is something which has happened. So AI is not of the future. AI is the past. But it leverages the past events to talk about the future. And let me make a very, very drastic statement about AI. You see, AI, because we have created it, we developed it, we harnessed it, we've taken it to such a big level that AI has started understanding, and the AI rises and our personal intelligence utilization is coming down, is in direct proportion. AI का जितना हम लोग इस्तेमाल करते हैं, अपनी बुद्धि का इस्तेमाल उसी proportion में कम होता चला जा रहा है. Isn't right? You do use ChatGPT, what are you doing? You're not using your brain. So AI उस सिचुएशन में पहुंच के उसको पता क्या लगा है, समझ में आ गया, उसकी बात में समझ में आ गई, because it's intelligence. He's understood that human beings are stupid. And human beings are stupid and human beings are also slow. दोनों चीजें उसके दिमाग में उसको समझ में आ गया. So he's taking full advantage of that. I hope you understand. पुराने डेटा पे इस्तेमाल करता है और समझ गया कि ये इंसान तो मेरे पल्ले पड़ गया है और मैं चाहे जिसको मैनिपुलेट करूं, और ये he's slow and he's also silly. I mean, if you're not using your brain very much, you're silly, you're stupid, isn't it? But these are the kind of warning signals you must understand. I'm not saying that don't use AI. You use it for all means, must use it, because you have no option except, but make sure that it doesn't become you, it doesn't manipulate you. It doesn't become your master. Second thing, AI, for whatever is great qualities of fastness and efficiency, etc., doesn't have any mind of it, doesn't have feelings. Have you heard about any machine AI having feelings? It has no empathy, there's no emotion. Emotionally, it is absolutely rotten. It has no space for emotion. And let me tell you, youngsters, you're all aspiring to become CEOs. Research tells you that the 95% chief executive officers in the world are people who had strong emotional intelligence. IQ may not be very high, but emotionally they're very strong. They are the one who rise to the top. So AI doesn't give you that. You need to create that yourself. And that's where interaction, talking to each other, becomes important. So, and of course, goes without saying that, so don't let it become your master. It's a good servant, good tool. Use it for all means. But we should make sure that we don't create this. It's a creation of human being, but should become a Frankenstein, which kind of consumes us over a period of time. That's something that all of us have to be very careful about. And while we're using it, goes without saying, ethical usage of artificial intelligence or digital technology is absolutely must. It can lead to several kind of misutilizations. It's a very powerful tool, so it can also do a lot of damage. So we have to become extremely important, careful to make sure that this doesn't happen. Finally, the entire process, we really must not lose sight of the importance of you, me, he, her, everybody. I'm talking about the human beings, the mankind. You see, different, and if you look at the civilizational growth, हर ज़माने के अंदर, हर क्षेत्र के अंदर लोगों ने बहुत तरक्की करी. I often quote an example of the Roman civilization. If some of you know the history, if you read the history, 4th, 5th century, Romans were probably the highest, the most powerful nation in the world. They even managed to bring Cleopatra from Egypt to marry Julius Caesar, apart, of course, all of the things. But look at the way they declined. In fact, their decline was much faster than the time they took to rise to that level. So, ये बहुत ज़रूरी है कि हम अपनी जो भी सभ्यता को, अपनी प्रगति को करें, आवश्यक है. Again, by the same process, people first, planet second, and then the progress. So, इस चीज़ को we actually should not ignore. And I also would deliberately draw your attention to all of them sitting here. You see, in that entire manufacturing process, please remember, all your managers, all of you sitting in Delhi, you really must understand the reality of this thing called Bharatvarsha, Hindustan. Hindustan is not merely what you see in Delhi and Bombay and Calcutta. 60-70% Hindustan, Bharatvarsh lives in the rural areas. It's still there. Not only it lives there, but it's also extremely critical for 2030 landmark that you're talking about. What has happened is, unfortunately, over a period of time, our GDP has seen a very skewed kind of growth. Agriculture is today 17-18%. Industry is about maybe 18-20%, and rest is all services. 3 factors that are important. Where you're talking about manufacturing, the manufacturing in the factory cannot continue on a sustainable basis unless you have backed up by agriculture production. So I would beckon some of you to move out the comforts and glamour of cities like Delhi and Bombay, go to the rural areas. And I can tell you, once we are able to strengthen that backup, our rural back, and that's where you must have seen the report, the consumption growth level today, for some of the people here sitting here, consumption growth level today is much faster in the rural areas where agriculture economies than in the urban areas. Much growth percentage in last. So we need to look at that. We have ignored our elitist attitude of business schools and everything, have ignored at our own peril the realities of what is called Bharatvarsh. So I would suggest some of you, if you have some connect, even if you don't have any connect, there's huge amount of opportunities awaiting us to go into that particular region. Finally, I will just once make one simple statement that continue to raise your standards, your own personal standards. Don't necessarily benchmark it. You can benchmark it against great people, great celebrity, great people who've done excellence, but benchmark your performance against yourself. You must keep on challenging yourself, questioning the validity of what you're doing. एक बहुत मशहूर शायर हुआ करते थे. आप लोग पता नहीं, वो भी हम लोग अपने कल्चर लिटरेसी में हम लोग बहुत दूर रह गए. एक शायर होते जिनका नाम था आलमा इकबाल. किसी ने सुना है उसका नाम? Anybody heard of a poet called आलमा इकबाल? उसकी बड़ी फेमस एक चीज़, सारे जहाँ से अच्छा हिंदुस्तान हमारा, ये तो सुना होगा आप लोग. ये सुना है ना, बट किसने लिखा ये नहीं पता था. एनीवे, ही इज़ ड्यूरिंग द pre-partition day, he was a very famous शायर. उसकी एक शेर है, खुदी को कर बुलंद इतना, सुना है? अच्छा, ओके. आगे कोई पूरा वो जानते हो कोई? somebody can recite this? नहीं, तुम बोले yes बोले ना? हाँ, बोलो. आधा बोला बेटा तुमने, लेकिन ठीक बोला. ओके, वेरी नाइस. खुदी को कर बुलंद इतना कि हर तकदीर से पहले खुदा बंदे से खुद पूछे, बता तेरी रजा क्या है. Raise yourself to that level. You see, eventually, whatever you might do in life, in business, in economic prosperity, in uniting the nation, moving, forward, ultimately the nation is constituted by us, all of us. And we are so many of us. Just imagine if all 140, 150 crores people become so efficient and so productive and so good, दुनिया का कोई देश नहीं जो हमारा मुकाबला कर सके. My one concern that I have is, you see, because of all that you probably hear makes a lot of sense, but मेरी सबसे बड़ी समस्या आज की हम लोगों के समय में भी थी, आपके भी, that we as a nation are pretty low on confidence. हम आज भी समझते हैं कि white man is superior to us. जिसकी चमड़ी गोरी है वो समझते हैं वो ज़्यादा काबिल है क्योंकि अंग्रेज़ी बोलता है. But I can tell you they're extremely hollow from inside. When I met so many of them. So, but that shakes our confidence level. So whatever you're doing, most important is that you must focus on yourself, on your own personal growth, personal development. And you will become globally competitive. जो आपके इस टॉपिक का हिस्सा है. Low in confidence either because of colonial setup or because we allowed ourselves to be dictated by factors that we think belong to a superior kind of a category, to the West or otherwise. So we need to unshackle. आज की generation, आप लोगों को, हम लोगों ने तो चलो आज़ादी के दिन देखे थे, but you're born in a free India. And there's so many opportunities. So I think I just sort of kind of beckon you, invite you to participate in the entire progress of nation building with a strong sense of confidence and strong sense of everything that belongs to you, and that's where you would be able to excel. Thank you very much, and I hope this conference leads to some very, very profound deliberation, profound conclusions, and as I said, you take responsibility to implement them too.